Hey, welcome back. We're here at VMworld Live. I'm here with John Arrasjid, our principal, John, what's your title? Principal architect here at VMware. John is both a principal architect in the cloud consulting practice, as well as our first VCDX number 001.
That's correct.
VMware Certified Design Expert.
Yes.
So we're here to talk today a little bit about both topics. We thought it's always fun to have John and talk to John. I've had a couple of fun conversations already here this year at VMworld. So John, well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the VCDX program and maybe the genesis of it, since you are VCDX number 001.
Sure. So we've gone through a number of different stages of education and certification. We've been focused in the past on the VCP certification for individuals who are builders, implementers, and so forth. And we got to the stage of having about 50,000 VCPs, and we were getting requests from the VCPs and from customers and partners of differentiating those who do actual architecture design versus implementation. And that's basically the genesis of how the program got started. So from the standpoint of what we're doing right now is we're trying to actually look at enterprise architecture approaches. That's what we're putting into the VCDX program to test those different skills. And in a way, we're kind of reverse engineering our process from the services side, because now we're actually providing specific training around virtual infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure, and you'll see as we go forward more and more design classes that align with the VCDX program.
Great. How many VCDXs are there in the world?
It's under 60. I think we are at 54 officially. And at the close of this week, within about a week's time frame, we'll have a better idea on exactly how many. I hope the majority of them are successful.
Right. People were taking the exams this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And continuing to do so.
Okay. It's for those of you who are not familiar with this, it's kind of I was going to say terrifying, but that really it's not very fair. I mean, it's an oral exam. It's a real live in front of a panel oral exam to present a design that you've spent months on, and design, and implementing, and
actually over a year.
Okay, most
developing
people,
it.
Wow. Well, that you guys, but the candidates spend months on these designs.
Yep.
And they end up having to be a fully implemented, fully documented
Yep.
data center design based on user requirements.
Yes.
And so it's a pretty interesting exercise. Do you find that, were you surprised at the level of sophistication or non-sophistication? Has there been anything surprising now that you've seen, a few dozens of candidates come through?
There are some surprising things. Obviously, this is not I want to have the most certifications under my belt. This is not a program for somebody who wants to achieve that, although they could if they want to spend the money and the time. This is more of really validating that somebody is an architect, can defend a design that they put together, and not only know the reasons why you might make certain design decisions, but also how does it affect the rest of the design? Because if you make any design decision, there could be a cost effect, there could be a time effect, there could be a technology choice effect. We really need to make sure that we can validate that with the individuals. Although we were expecting to get a lot more at this point. I think we've had a good cross range of people that are going through this, so it's not just architects that go through the program. We do have SEs, systems engineers, and we also have tech support individuals who've gone through the process, and we also have technical account managers, TAMs, that have gone through that. But we encourage other people to do that. We do recommend going through the design process before applying.
So, as a consultant, you go into you're in a lot of data centers. You go and work with a lot of companies. Can you tell when you go into a company that has started a project without a good design architect at the front end of the process?
You absolutely can. There's many different ways of looking at that, so I won't go into the details. But it is pretty easy to identify that. In some cases, though, it's not always possible to discover all the different areas of where there's strengths and weaknesses without going through and doing like a health check or some full analysis on there. But usually what you can tell is somebody who starts with the business requirements and the end user perspective, they go through a logical design and then they go to the physical design. If they jump straight into a physical design, that's where we usually see the most problems.
And that happens in programming and in all sorts of technology. So you're also on the cloud team.
Yes.
Cloud, we talk about one of the components of a cloud computing paradigm is the consumption model,
Yes.
the end user consumption model, you know, X as a service.
Yep.
How does that sort of design and that sort of end use requirement change how you approach data center design?
From the cloud perspective, or just
Yeah.
in
Well,
general?
how is cloud changing how you do designs?
What's happening is it gives us better alignment with the business from the standpoint of being able to have very visible, automated ways of looking at the technology, how it's used, what the costing models are. It also allows us to provide some self-provisioning mechanism so that if a group, so there's a small IT group, and they have engineering departments that want to actually do their own dev test, and they don't need a system administrator, they just need to have the machines available. We can use the service catalog to say, here are a specific number of builds of your software, choose them from the catalog, they get deployed, there's pre-approval process, so it fits into change management. They really like that, because instead of waiting months or weeks or even hours, it might be a matter of minutes to actually, or some small number of time to actually get the deployment.
And so all that, how the end users get to the service catalog and what they can get and that sort of thing. That's all that present back in the original design as you guys then go in
Yes.
when you go into a place.
Yeah, and we also need to understand, as part of that, it's not just the access, it's also how are we going to do chargeback or showback. So there's a number of components in there. We won't cover them right now, but we also need to look at what are the governance to a cloud or to the environment. So if there are specific workflows that for legal reasons or business reasons have to be followed, we have the opportunity within the cloud director, with using Orchestrator, and also with using Request Manager to provide some additional levels of automation and alignment with the business process.
Now you guys are starting to develop a lot of IP. I talked to some other folks from the cloud practice yesterday. What can we expect to see? What kinds of IP will you guys? You're working on some books, and there'll be some other actual. How does that instantiate your? Instantiate.
I guess I'll cover three major areas. There are training areas where we're developing overview of cloud design, and things like that. That's through our training program. In our practice development team, working with the cloud team, we're developing a number of engagements where it's the paid engagement that our partners or our professional services team can deliver on jump starts, assessments, and things like that. And also we're doing white papers. I'm actually working on my third book, which is Cloud Director with Cloud Computing with vCloud Director, and which is going to be out beginning of next year, where I'm working with Duncan Epping and a number of our cloud team members, as well as some individuals from outside, including Steve Kaplan.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're having fun out there.
I am. It's rock and roll, right?
Well, I mean, you've been with VMware for a long time. You've been in IT for a long time. I mean, can you characterize? I mean, can you characterize kind of the changes we're going through, or the mood? It seems like things are accelerating. It seems like things are really happening.
They are. The one thing that's weird is there's always this pendulum swing that happens in technology. I do believe we're seeing that happening right now. I think what was old is new again, or people that say that cloud is a brand new concept, they got another thing coming, because obviously that's not really the case. There are many people who have implemented cloud infrastructures, both with and without virtualization. Virtualization is the foundation for that. So in many ways, people are really interested in seeing what can cloud provide, and I think it's more of alignment with the business. And I do think that we are at a revolutionary stage. Our kids, our grandkids are probably going to look at this and saying, this is like the transition from the mainframe to, the next technology.
Right. It does feel like a shift like that.
It is.
Okay, so you work a lot with the logical, physical, functional design of the data center. How does that interact with the business process and the culture of the company? If IT is going through a shift, and if IT is becoming more of a business partner, as you go in and work with companies, does it really make a real big difference if they have started to realize that yet?
It's very important. The people who actually, so two aspects. If they've already done virtualization and they're doing a virtual first policy, they're very good to align with cloud. From the standpoint of the business, it's becoming more and more important to align with the business drivers, the business requirements, and it's not just about implementing the latest and greatest technology. You choose the technology to meet the requirements of the business, to make the company more cost effective, more profitable, and also help with the shortening the time to market for whatever the product is that the company's working on.
And you see people making that shift.
Yes, the companies that are going through and they have defined processes and they've got as much automation as possible are the ones who are finding the quickest return on the investment of going to a cloud platform.
Okay. Well, let's go back to VCDX for a second. So if folks are interested, I mean, people watching this are usually VMware users. There's a new set of VCAP intermediate exams for VCAP, and whether their exact names I'm blanking
Yeah,
on
there's
right
one
now.
for an advanced professional and one is for a design professional.
Right, and then you can do those and then go study for your VCAP, but it's all there on the VMware website if
Yes,
folks
it
are
is.
interested. And
Yep.
if folks want to hire a VCDX, that's a little more challenging.
It's more challenging, actually, because there is a limited number. But I also want to say that there are a lot of people who are VCTX level. They just don't have the certification, and like many things, that you should not hold that against them. Obviously, there's different things that are a requirement that they have on whether or not it makes sense to do that. The one thing that I find the most, I guess I'll say challenging or disturbing is putting a job rec that says you must be a VCDX. If there's only 54 VCDXs in the world, how much is that going to impact you? Because how long will it take to get somebody? I don't think that's necessarily the right driver. I think it's more of, are they following the design principles that we're trying to instill on the VCDX program and the individuals who are going through that?
Right, I think that's a pretty wise perspective.
Yeah.
Well, John, thanks for coming on the show and talking
Absolutely.
today.
Thank you.
Thanks.